True Story Media.
Hey everyone, it's me, Javier. I am working on the new episodes. I have a whole bunch of episodes recorded. I'm actually having trouble figuring out which one should come next. But for now, while I'm working, I want to share with you some of my favorite episodes. Actually, this is not my favorite episode. This is probably the scariest episode I've ever created. In fact, this wasn't meant to ever hit the podcast feeds. But I posted on my Patreon channel, and these guys that you're going to hear about called the Pests, well, they found the episodes and posted it on their message board and then started harassing me, and it was just pure mayhem. But now I think it's time to revisit the Pests. All right, this is part 1 and part 2 of the Pests. Later on this week, I will play part 3 and part 4, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's play the episode. All right, before we start, and you've heard me say this before, but I really mean it this time. Please don't listen to this episode at work, or with kids, or with anybody around. It's bad. This whole series is just way inappropriate. So if you don't have the stomach for it, it's pretty dark. You've been warned. All right, let's start the show.
This man began his television stand-up debut with us 25 years ago.
Didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Nobody funnier. Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald.
Nobody is funnier than Norm Macdonald. It's a bit of a hyperbole, but you know what? I happen to agree. Norm Macdonald is one of the greats. His deadpan humor gets me every time. But not everyone thinks Norm Macdonald is funny.
Comedian Norm Macdonald has become a huge hot topic over his comments about Roseanne and Louis C.K. and the Me Too movement. We wanted him to come and clear the air, so please welcome Norm Macdonald.
You know you're in trouble when you have to go on The View and apologize.
Do you regret saying
keep on
that?
getting into trouble, Norm Macdonald.
It's always bad when you have to apologize
For the apology?
An apology.
Norm said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that he was happy that the Me Too movement had, quote, slowed down a little bit. He was disappointed that cancel culture had destroyed the careers of some of his closest friends like Roseanne Barr and Louis C.K. His comments, which after the dust settled were taken a little bit out of context by the Hollywood Reporter article, set Twitter on fire. I'm going to read you one of those angry tweets. It reads, quote, "Hot take. I never thought Norm Macdonald was funny and was pretty sure all my comedy friends who did were either nuts or screwing with me." Trust me, this is important. I'm going to read it again. Quote, "Hot take. I've never thought Norm Macdonald was funny and was pretty sure all my comedy friends who did were either nuts or screwing with me. Seems pretty milquetoast as far as the internet's concerned, but little did Patrick Tomlinson know that his tweet, written almost 5 years ago, would destroy his life. Now, I'm not even exaggerating. Since he drafted that tweet, Patrick and his wife Nikki have received daily death threats. They've been swatted more than 40 times.
They have shotguns, they have assault rifles, they have their pistols drawn.
Put your hands behind your back. Enough. You're still bringing assault rifles to my house. You're still traumatizing my wife.
We get voicemails and text threats all the time, threatening to kill us, burn down our house, skin our pets, rape me, kill my family. They've physically stalked us. They've come to our house multiple times.
Saved message. You don't know who I am. You don't know who any of the people fucking with you are. You don't know who any of us are. Faggot. Die. Message saved.
All of this because of a Norm Macdonald tweet? It doesn't make sense. But it's really happening to them. You know, I just got done with the stalker case, and that took me 2 years to investigate. I had my fill of stalker stories, and I was ready to move on. But this case, wow. This case makes the previous stalker case look like child's play. In fact, this series is not about one stalker. It's about a gang of stalkers, obsessed online trolls who have turned tormenting Patrick Tomlinson and his wife Nikki into a sport. And the worst part is, there's not really much that they could legally do to protect themselves. I'm Javier Leiva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for building your online presence and getting your work out into the world. So here's the thing. I've been podcasting for 8 years now, and one lesson that I've learned the hard way is that you need a home base, somewhere that's yours, not just a social profile that could disappear tomorrow and get buried with the algorithm change. Squarespace is how I think about that. You grab your domain, your name, your show, whatever you want to claim, and then you build around it. Their templates are actually good looking, and you don't need to know how to code. There's a thing called Blueprint AI that walks you through the design process, and you can just pick a template and start dragging stuff around until it feels just right. The other side that I appreciate is the services side. If you do any kind of consulting, coaching events, whatever, you can showcase what you offer, book appointments, send invoices, and get paid all from the same place. You don't have to Frankenstein set up 6 different apps that barely talk to each other. And if you have content that you want to monetize, video, courses, members only stuff, you can gate it behind a paywall and charge a subscription or a one-time fee. It's all built in. So check out squarespace.com/pretend for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use promo code PRETEND to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/pretend. Use promo code PRETEND. I just think it's crazy that this all stems from a Norm Macdonald, like the fact that you don't find Norm Macdonald funny.
That was the triggering event, but it's not really about that, and it never was.
Patrick Tomlinson is a science fiction and fantasy author. But these days, if you search his name, you'll find endless online forums dedicated to destroying his reputation. Why do these internet trolls hate him so much? Surely it can't just be because he doesn't find Norm Macdonald funny. There has to be more to the story. And in order to answer that question, you first have to understand who these people are.
Starting at the beginning, you've got to know some background on this group. This group they call themselves the Opie and Anthony Fan Club, or, O&A Forums is their website. They came from the old shock jock radio show Opie and Anthony, which was based out of New York.
The Opie and Anthony Show was a shock jock radio show hosted by Greg Opie Hughes and Anthony Cumia that aired from March 1995 to July 2014. Here's a clip where the host encourages a suicidal caller to go through with it.
Nikki, let me tell you the reality of being a listener to this show. You decide it's not for you anymore. You go away. Someone takes your place.
We
don't give a crap.
We couldn't be happier. Don't threaten us. Don't make it like it's a threat that you're going to leave if we don't get funnier. We don't want you. Leave now.
We don't care.
Turn it off.
We don't care.
Turn it off.
We don't care. We've been doing this for 12 years. The only reason you're on the phone is so we can beat you up a little bit.
Nikki, do you have...
Maybe it's a real suicidal caller, maybe it's not. The point is that this was one of the cleaner clips I could find. I've never personally listened to the Opie and Anthony show, but from what I can tell, it seems like the kind of programming made for regular dudes. And when I say regular dudes, I'm talking about the 18 to 34-year-old white male demographic. Listen, I do think that we are a little too sensitive as a society. There's a trigger warning for everything these days. Some people can't take a joke. We've become so fragile. But where should we draw the line? There has to be a line, right? But these two guys, they really don't care. As much as I don't like cancel culture, the reality is that cancel culture is real, and it's businesses who draw the line. And after being fined by the FCC for airing songs about a father raping his daughter and another tune called, quote, horny for little girls, and encouraging listeners to have sex in public places like St. Patrick's Cathedral during Mass, Infinity Broadcasting decided that, hey, you know what? These guys were too much of a liability, and they pulled the plug on the Opie and Anthony show. After 2 years of radio silence, the Shock Jocks returned on XM radio. The second and final straw was in 2014. The show abruptly ended after SiriusXM fired Anthony Cumia for posting, quote, racially charged and hate-filled remarks on social media. He apparently called a black woman who assaulted him a savage. Opie and Anthony are off the air, but their fans? Well, their fans are alive and well. These fans are the people that Patrick Tomlinson says are harassing him.
But they were originally their fan club. When their show was on the air, they referred to their fans as pests. And it was because they would sick their fans on other people that they were having feuds with.
Like Opie and Anthony rival Howard Stern fans. Here's a confrontation with a Stern fan.
They just steal a lot of shit from Howard. I don't really like.
Of course we do. Steal a lot of shit, like his radio stations.
His radio station?
Now he sits there.
In this YouTube video, you can see that the Stern fan is surrounded by these pests and some of the show's producers. They take the guy down in a headlock.
Oh, that did it. There you go, asshole. Have a nice one getting your ass handed to you. You put your hands on Ben, did you? You put your hands on Ben, you fucking faggot. How does that feel?
These pests were notorious for disrupting live news broadcasts. Here's a clip of two pests holding an Opie and Anthony show sign behind the reporter in the middle of a live shot.
But it's costing the TA a great deal, about $16 million.
The reporter turned around and asked the two pests live on air.
What the fuck is your problem, man?
He was immediately fired.
They basically weaponized their fan base and then used it against other people. This went on for years until finally the fan base actually turned on Anthony.
In January 2018, Anthony Cumia offered $5,000 to anyone who could shut down a Reddit message board dedicated to his own show. He claimed that the members of the forum had constantly harassed him, his friends, his family, and former guests of the radio show.
After that, they were this loosely knit community, for lack of a better word, of weaponized stalking sociopaths. Except now they didn't have their heroes on the show picking targets for them anymore. So they organized on Reddit in a subreddit called r/Opie and Anthony, and started picking their own targets and started going after people that they decided deserved this kind of treatment for whatever reason. They did it to the comedian Patton Oswalt. They went after him trying to create online rumors that he had killed his wife so that he could remarry the woman that he eventually did remarry. So then they started going after other people. They never stopped going after Anthony Cumia from the show. They still try to torment him today. They went after she was a adult film star, a transgender woman. Her name was Sue Lightning, or at least that was her performance name. And they went after her for a long time just because she was trans. Then there's another one before me. His name was Logan Lynn, and he's a singer-songwriter out of Portland, Oregon, and he's openly and proudly gay. And so that was enough for them to hate him. So they started going after him and did for over a year. In fact, his ordeal with this same group landed an article in People magazine a few years ago. And then they found me because of that Norm Macdonald tweet. Now, again, these people are not Norm Macdonald fans. They don't give a shit about Norm Macdonald. He's not important to them. At the time, back in 2018, Norm Macdonald was in hot water because he was coming out in support of Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr against their careers getting derailed. Again, and Norm came out, to support them because they were his friends and colleagues, and I thought it was a bad move. I thought it was a boneheaded move, but whatever. And so it wasn't Norm that these people were supporting. It was racism and misogyny that these people were supporting. All of a sudden, Norm had a whole bunch of alt-right fucking incel fans that came out of the woodwork, the coming to defend him. And that's what these people are. They don't care about comedy. They don't care about Norm. It was never about that. It was just about finding their next target. And they found me in September of 2018. And the first thing that they did was they took my 30-some thousand follower Twitter account and made a mass false reportings to get it suspended. And so I was permanently suspended from Twitter for almost a year.
So it's not like you stepped into their crossfire. It's like
no,
they just happened to stumble upon your tweet.
Correct. And then
just
they brought
like that Twitter vile shit that happens all the time where, people just gang up on people, except this is like magnified by a headless organization of just angry, like an angry mob, basically, right?
They're not angry. That's the funniest part of it. Well, it's not funny, but they're not angry. They're not angry at me. They don't, I mean, some of them do hate me, but I was just a new target. I was just someone new to hurt. They care only about inflicting pain and suffering. They get off on it. That's what this group is about. It's a group of anonymous cyber stalking sociopaths. That's their whole thing is just about inflicting pain and suffering on random innocent people through anonymity and doing as much damage as they can because that's funny to them.
But Patrick Tomlinson doesn't help matters, if you ask me. He's the type of guy who debates people on Twitter. What's the point of debating people on Twitter? I never understood that. In fact, his responses to people disagreeing with him are quite combative and dismissive. But that doesn't mean that he deserves the level of torture that he and his wife have been receiving. This is Nikki, Patrick's wife.
It's basically this performative cruelty, right? So in the days before the internet, you wouldn't have the ability, sociopaths would not have the ability to gather in groups. They were usually ostracized and kicked out of their communities. So essentially the internet, for better or for worse, exists. And now we have, people who can collectively gather to destroy other people, because the thing is they don't have any camaraderie. They're essentially this anti-community. Like they eat their own. If any of them are identified or whatever, they go after each other. I mean, there's no loyalty. It's not like an actual community that you would typically think as a community.
They're not friends with each other. They don't form friendships. There's no trust. There's no loyalty. They don't even particularly like each other. But they do like hurting people. That's it. That's the whole, that's the hardest part for people who haven't been exposed to this to wrap their heads around. Well-meaning people always come into the comments and like, but why you? Like, why are they doing this to you? What did you do to them? It's like, nothing. There is no why. We don't have we don't have a beef with these people. They don't have reasons for doing this other than it gets them off. That's it.
How did you get banned again?
I was permanently suspended because these people took my Norm tweet back to their lair, and then they organized a mass false reporting attack where, dozens or hundreds of them would come in and report the same tweet over and over and over again until Twitter's algorithms and Twitter's moderation algorithms would be tricked into thinking there was a problem when there wasn't one. It was a totally innocuous tweet that ended up getting me suspended. And I was off Twitter for almost a year. In fact, we had to go out and hire lawyers to just so that a real person would actually look at my account and look at the tweet and go, oh, yeah, this doesn't actually violate terms of service in any way, and we never should have suspended you. And so, $5,000 later, I did get my Twitter back. And my Twitter is I'm an author. But, 5 years ago, Twitter was my main way of building my audience, my main way of promoting my work. And also it helped me get bigger contracts out of publishers because, an author with tens of thousands of followers is easier to market and easier sell for my agent to go and get bigger advances. So, we spent money to get my Twitter back because it had enormous value for me.
Okay, so let's be real. I love true crime and true con just as much as the next person. But sometimes you don't want to sit through all the doom and gloom and all this heavy stuff, Like, give me something fun, right? And that's exactly what Scam Goddess is. It's a Team Coco podcast that's all about the funny side of fraud. And yes, there is a funny side of fraud. So every week, the host, Lacey Mosley, aka Scam Goddess herself, breaks down the scammiest scammers of all time. And she does it with some seriously funny guests. We're talking about Nicole Breyer, Conan O'Brien, Jonathan Van Ness, you name it. And let's be real, we all love a good scam story, right? Firefest, George Santos, Anna Delvey pretending to be an heiress. Lacey gets into all of it, and she makes it genuinely entertaining. Like, you're going to be laughing so hard and low-key impressed by how bold some of these scams are. So yeah, what are you waiting for? If you love true con, and yes, we actually call it that, you have to listen to Scam Goddess wherever you get your podcasts.
So yeah, we managed to get my Twitter account unsuspended, and I was able to keep all my followers. And after 11 months, I was back in business. But in the meantime, they had absolutely exploded, going after us in a million different ways. They started going after my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube channel. They doxed us repeatedly all over the place, got our private information, started harassing us by voicemail, email, text, which they still do a dozen or more times every single day for the last 5 years. They doxed most of our family members and started harassing our family members.
They make like pornography of me and send it to my family. They've put me up on websites like I'm looking for sex. And I mean, some of it had been extreme, like, I want a rape fantasy kind of thing.
And then give our address so that people would come over and try to forcibly rape my wife.
Yeah. They also, harass, like I said, my family. My mother is harassed like all the time. And one of their favorite tactics is to basically go onto somebody's website, fill out their contact form on their website, because you can put anybody's name or email address in there, put in our email address, our name, and then say something horrible, racist, transphobic, whatever. And then, these people then come after us because they think that we're out there saying all this terrible things. So, I mean,
they don't understand. I mean, we get told, don't feed the trolls. It's like, okay, listen, you twits.
Yeah, well, and they say like, why haven't you changed your email address? It's like, because they'll find the new one and use it. Do you want me to change my name? Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we can't move every 5 minutes either, It's like,
people have, people say like, just change your phone number. Like, these people literally found my social security number. You think they won't find my new phone number?
I gave Patrick and Nikki some tips on how to disappear from the internet. First, they have to remove their names from public databases. Then, they should put their house on a trust and their car under an LLC. That way, no one could find them. I gave her all the tricks that Michael Basil, the cybersecurity expert, gave me, but Patrick and Nikki didn't seem to go for it. It seems that they are way past this point.
And that's the thing, is we're refusing to do any of these things that are recommended because it's already as bad as it can possibly get. If we move, they will figure it out. They figure shit out. They figured out my mom was in the hospital. We didn't tell anybody that. I mean, they figure stuff out. It's beyond just like being able to get away from it. And plus, we're unwilling. I run a business. He's an author. We have every right to be public people and have people be able to reach us and all of that.
Driving us off the internet and silencing us is their goal.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. They want us to stop talking about them. They want us to stop talking, period. And if they have to kill us, they're willing to do that. I mean, they have publicly and proudly stated many times that their ultimate goal is to destroy our lives and our careers and our marriage and drive me in particular to kill myself. They're very upfront about that.
Lots of the threats that come to me are like, we'll leave you alone if you just get divorced. We'll leave you alone if Patrick deletes his Twitter, which of course, none of those things would matter. They won't leave me alone. They won't. And I mean, I wouldn't anyway. I'm not going to listen to some random stranger to tell me to dissolve my marriage because they think than I should for some reason.
And that's not gonna, like, what kind of guarantee do you have? And like you said, yeah, you could run from it and disappear, but that comes at a cost, right? Like it's like admitting defeat and running away. And like you said, you're an author.
Yeah, we've built lives. I've built my company. I mean, I've spent 20 years building my company. He's spent however long building his career. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
No, they don't get to take our lives from us. They don't. Period.
Do you get the sense that it's like one person, 5 people, 20 people, 100 people? Like
there are their websites, the forums that they coordinate all this harassment on has several hundred users, but most of them are hangers-on. Most of them are lurkers. They're just there to watch the car wreck and laugh. People who are actually committing these crimes against us is limited to, we believe, no more than a handful of people, maybe half a dozen.
So the ones doing the worst things are, we think, like 3 to 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to discuss the possible suspects in a future episode, but for now, let's just focus on the harassment.
While my Twitter was suspended for those 11 months back in 2018 and 2019, their subreddit, Our Opie and Anthony, turned into nothing but harassing me and my family, obviously. But it became a 24/7 attack Patrick Tomlinson any way possible place. And so we started submitting DMCA claims.
A DMCA takedown notice is a complaint if someone suspects a website of copyright infringement.
Oftentimes they would take covers of my books, which of course are copyrighted. And so we submitted hundreds and hundreds of these things to get all these images taken down.
It was basically the only effective way we could combat anything they were doing and get anything taken down.
I don't know. I've been poking around these message boards, and there are tons of pictures of Patrick photoshopped and various gay pornographic images. They make fun of his weight. They call him names. It's kind of disturbing, actually. And at first, the harassment started on Reddit. Anytime someone would make one of these posts, Patrick and Nikki would report it.
And eventually, the administrators of Reddit, for the first time ever, changed their harassment policies specifically because of what was happening to us, and changed their harassment policies site-wide, specifically so that they could ban this group. And so they ended up banning the Opie and Anthony thread or subreddit, and a couple thousand of their accounts all got nuked.
And when their subreddit would be taken down, a new one would just pop back up.
The administrators really, they'd seen enough and they'd had enough. I mean, for many years, like, they were the most hated subreddit on all of the site. And they were voted the worst subreddit by like 2 years running. And they were very proud of that. I mean, just being the worst type of people is something that they relish in. They love being hated. And so when they lost their subreddit, and then all the subsequent ones that they tried to use to replace it, they lost their minds because they lost their most effective platform. I mean, they had something like 30,000 subscribers on that subreddit, which, isn't huge. So once they got kicked off of Reddit, they kind of floated around the internet. They created, a handful of the survivors started creating their own forums. And that's where the current website came from after 3 or 4 different iterations.
The Pests have a new, very loosely moderated forum, the new Opie and Anthony forum. It's a place where you can freely use the N-word without any judgment. The site has 4 main forums. One is labeled literary criticism. Innocent enough, right? A bunch of bookworms just chatting it up. Wrong. The first post I pulled up was a court document with Nikki and Patrick's address on it. One user posted, "I want Nikki to get fucked, especially hard." The next 4 threads I clicked on were all devoted to mocking Patrick and Nikki. Not exactly literary criticism. There's also a ton of content about Patrick and Nikki on Kiwi Farms. And for those of you fortunate enough not to know what the hell I'm talking about, Kiwi Farms is an online forum devoted to gang-stalking and harassment. Users prey on transgender, disabled, black, heck, anyone they want to.
There's also a lot of content about it on Kiwi Farms, though.
There is, yeah. There's definitely overlap in the user base between these two groups.
These two horrible
groups. And Kiwi Farms has, the last time I looked at Kiwi Farms, the thread about me and us had 1,500 pages, tens of thousands of comments. It's been 4.5, almost 5 years. Every day, no days off.
I know that their goal is to destroy you both, like not only individually, but destroy the couple, like your marriage. I can't believe it hasn't. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, I think that if either of us were going through this alone, we might be dead by now, because I think that, first of all, Kiwi Farms is directly responsible for at least 3 or 4 suicides that we know of. I mean, people who go through this kill themselves. And they don't have a voice. They're not heard, which is another reason we're not shutting up.
In 2016, Julie Terryberry took her own life after being targeted by users on the site. 2 years later, Chloe Segal lit herself on fire at a public park. All this because of harassment on Kiwi Farms. When Segal posted about her suicidal thoughts, Kiwi Farm users sent private messages to her, urging her to kill herself. In June 2021, an American video game developer based in Japan named David Ginder took their life after relentlessly being tormented for being non-binary. One thread was more than 24 pages long. Here's what David wrote in their suicide letter. "I've been bullied, ridiculed, and humiliated my entire life. I could only just tolerate it with heavy depression when it was 4chan, but Kiwi Farms has made the harassment orders a magnitude worse." One user wrote, "Bruh, I hope he streams his suicide. Sick." Honest
to God, we share an insane amount of empathy and understanding about this. If we didn't have that immediately between us, it would be difficult. I mean, it's difficult to exist it's difficult to exist in the world like having this happen to you.
By yourself.
Yeah, by yourself. And most people have to deal with this type of harassment by themselves.
Next time on Pretend, it's actually going to get worse for Patrick and Nikki because these pests have moved on to a new nasty little corner of the internet. And this time, they are completely unhinged. That's next time on Pretend. Okay, well, I have an update for you. For those of you who fear that maybe the pests will one day hear this and what will happen if these episodes get out and they find out about it, well, guess what? The cat is out of the bag. I posted these episodes, the first 3, on Patreon and Apple Podcasts on Pretend Plus, and somehow, some way, the pests found out about it. They even created fake accounts under Patrick's name. For the first couple hours, the online forum where they all talk, they were trying to figure out what was in these episodes. So only the ones that subscribe could actually hear the episodes. And it only took them a couple of hours to hack Patreon, download all 3 episodes, and they posted it on their forum. And boy, did they have a lot to say. Since then, I've been in touch and in contact with the forum's administrator, who remains anonymous, and some other pests who are quite vocal about Patrick Tomlinson. And they have a way different story to tell. All right, now let's play part 2. I've said this once, I'll say it again. This episode, this entire series, is not suitable for kids or anyone who does not like offensive language. This is a pretty dark series, so if you're not into that, just check back in when it's done. All right, let's start the show. Previously on Pretend, Patrick Tomlinson and his wife Nikki say that they've been the victims of gang stalkers.
You don't know who I am. You don't know who any of the people funding with you are. You don't know who any of us are.
The suspected perpetrators belong to a fan group of a now off-the-air radio show called The Opie and Anthony Show. They're known as the Pests. Patrick says that these people have devoted the last 5 years to tormenting him and his family. Whoever's doing this really, really, really hates Patrick Tomlinson. They've sent the police to their house at all hours of the night. I'm not talking about once. Patrick says that they've done this more than 40 times. He says they leave threatening voicemails and send daily text messages to everyone in Patrick's orbit. I'm Javier Leiva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else. So I've been trying to simplify how I get dressed in the morning. I don't want to think about it too much, Just grab something, throw it on, and know that it's going to work. That's kind of what I love about Quince. They've got everyday essentials down. Organic cotton sweaters, polos for pretty much any occasion, lighter jackets that actually keep you warm when the weather's doing that weird in-between thing, All the basics, but they actually hold up. Here's the thing. Quince works directly with top factories and cuts down the middleman. So you're not paying for brand markups. Just quality clothing that's built to last and still look good season after season. Plus, they only partner with factories that meet rigorous standards for craftsmanship and ethical production. The wool coat that I picked up is honestly holding up way better than any other coat I've bought that costs way more. It looks good, it keeps me warm, and it didn't break the bank. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/pretendpod for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/pretendpod. One word. Do you have any children?
I have a daughter from a previous marriage that I'm estranged from, which is something that they absolutely love to torment me over.
Patrick has always been really honest and open about all of his history. He had I knew all of this on our first date, whatever. And he blogged about it. He literally has talked about this in public places on the internet. And so they try to use this against him, like, oh, he abandoned her and he's a pedophile. That's why he can't see her. He abused her. He abused his ex-wife. None of this is true. What happened is his ex-wife ran off with his friend while she was pregnant with their baby. So, it's pretty fucked up, but it wasn't, it takes two people to be in a relationship, but it wasn't like him doing something horrifying. It was a normal relationship.
The Pests base all of this on a 2011 incident involving Patrick and his ex-wife. The police report states that someone called the police because they were concerned over threats Patrick made against his pregnant wife and her new boyfriend. When police questioned Patrick, he admitted that he made threats against the boyfriend, but said that he would never hurt his wife and unborn child. The police handcuffed Tomlinson, and he posted bail and was released the very same day. As far as I know, this is Patrick's first and only arrest. The Pests use reports like this to justify their attacks. But here's the thing. Someone in their group just recently discovered these police reports. Patrick says that they just use this incident as a way to justify the harassment that they've been doing for 5 years. The Pests have since moved off Kiwi Farms and have regrouped on a new forum called the New Opie and Anthony Forum.
So they started this website that, unlike Kiwi Farms, which is more of a global stalking website, this one is just absolutely obsessively fixated on us.
This new forum has hundreds of comments and threads devoted to Patrick Tomlinson.
And they're all about our lives. They're every tweet I send out, every picture we take. It's like everything that I say online, everything, every time a book comes out, if I wash my fucking car, they're talking about it. These people are insane. We cannot adequately describe how obsessed these people are. They don't have anything else in life. They don't talk about anything else. They don't think about anything else. They don't do anything else but try to kill us.
Anytime they find any kind of bit of information, then they create this whole entire story. Like Patrick washes his car. Well, he's washing it because he probably, was by this murder that happened in Milwaukee and there was mud in the area. So he was probably over there or whatever. I mean, like, it's like, oh, he's probably building a new fence because he keeps exposing himself to his neighbors or whatever. That's another thing. Like, they've gone after us in kind of like these municipal ways too. Like, we did build a new fence. They reported it to the city as though it was out of, like, not under code. We had to go through that whole rigmarole and it was fine. The fence was fine.
I posted a picture at one point. I was replacing an electrical outlet because our house is 120 years old. And so, it's quirky. So I replaced an electrical outlet and upgraded a bunch of other ones and put a picture of like the old one. And it's like, well, there was the problem. So they called the city pretending to be our tenants, saying that they almost had an electrical fire and that we need to have our house inspected and brought up to code. An inspector called me and was like, yes, we got a report from your tenants. I'm like, well, that's funny because we don't have tenants.
Mm-hmm. When did the swatting start?
Once they started their own website, then there were no rules at all. They didn't have any admins to answer to. They don't face any consequences for anything that they do. So, I mean, they openly post screen grabs from, every time they text me harassment, which they've done literally dozens of times a day, every day for 5 years. I mean, I have blocked literally thousands of spoofed phone numbers from these people.
So, like, in this interim time, some other things that happened. They doxed us on Colfax, which is a white supremacist website.
Colfax was a website that it was very short-lived, but it was basically a place where white supremacists were cataloging known interracial couples and then putting getting their addresses and private information together so that they could be killed. Now, as soon as the FBI saw that, they ripped that website down right away. But we were doxxed on that website because, again, they were trying to get us in trouble with neo-Nazis.
So the other things too, I mean, we get voicemails and text threats all the time, threatening to kill us, burn down our house, skin our pets, rape me, kill my family. They've physically stalked us. They've come to our house multiple times. They wrote on the side of our house. They wrote on his motorcycle. They have left like flyers in front of our house, like with their inside joke. They have all these like inside jokes. They like litter and leave like food and crap and whatever.
Nikki and Patrick sent me a surveillance video of a man driving up to their house in the middle of the night, throwing eggs at their car. This happened at least 3 times. They've also impersonated both Patrick and Nikki online.
They created all these fake accounts pretending to be him, like, hey, I got suspended, but this is my new account. And people were starting to believe the fake accounts that were actually him. I mean, just straight up pretending to be him.
Like
use his phone,
name, my face.
Yep, use everything.
My author photo. And then they would go around, most especially to women and people of color, and start sexually harassing them or sending them racist messages while pretending to be me, because they're trying to destroy my reputation. They're trying to destroy my ability to make money in the industry. Right now, they're doing it to Nikki's mother. Like she's has her own consulting business, and so they're running around all over the internet dozens and dozens of times pretending to be Nikki's mom, because they believe falsely that we're both poor, that I don't have any source of income, that her business doesn't exist, and that we live off of her mother.
And her mom, and that my mom bought our house,
yeah.
And financially supports us, which she thinks is hilarious. But also like that she made, by creating me, and the fact that I'm still married to him means that she's a bad mother because I can't make good decisions.
Not only are they attacking his reputation online, Patrick says that they are trying to destroy both their careers.
When his books have been released, like they were just mass flooded on Goodreads with 1-star reviews. And it has had a direct effect on his career, ability to get his books out in front of people and whatever, because like people are not looking at a book that has like an average of 2 stars. His last book launch was like one of the worst days ever, because it should have been like an exciting, fun thing, like your book's published, yay, and it's come out. And it was terrible. It was like one of the worst days of our lives. And it was hugely upsetting. He's a licensed insurance agent, which is, he gets residual income from that. They called the insurance office and suspended his insurance license, pretending to be him, which could have cost us all of the money he makes off of that.
Tens of thousands of dollars a year almost lost.
They have his social security number. They've opened or attempted to open numerous credit cards and destroy his credit. They order stuff online. Like, we have some furniture that we have because for some reason they like ordered it falsely, but it got delivered to our house, and we were like, from Kohl's, I think. And we were like, come pick it up. We don't want it.
And it's not just Patrick.
I speak at conferences. I speak at like summits, like virtual summits and stuff like that pretty regularly. And, you know, a lot of the times, I mean, every time I have to have a conversation, an awkward conversation with the people running the thing and say, look, I'm a victim of stalking. What kind of moderation do you have on this? Are there going to be comments? Is it going to be posted on YouTube? Are the comments going to be open? There's a chat running where people are watching the webinar and commenting on things, and they'll show up in there. Like, they'll show up and say like horrible things while I'm trying to do this talk, you know, and it's just wild.
They've physically stalked us across multiple states. They've taken, especially when I'm at conventions, because I can't hide the fact I'm speaking at a convention. You know, like the whole purpose of it is to bring out an audience and to get more people in. So those things are, you know, my schedules for those are always public. Can't hide that. And so they've stalked us and taken spy shots of me in Washington, D.C., in Detroit, in Chicago. They
actually like minted NFTs of photos of him from those events where they were physically stalking.
But why you? Like, that's what I don't understand. I know it's not the Norm Macdonald thing, but why you two?
This is it. There is no why. They want to kill people.
They've just decided that they've latched onto us, and they've built up such a crazy mythology around us that they have all these ideas about who we really are and what we really like and how we're these. It's actually really funny because they they try to make us look like horrible people. And even doing that, they're pretty unsuccessful because we don't have, I mean, we're not horrible people and we don't really have any skeletons or anything. Like we're both pretty open about ourselves and like whatever. And it's weird because they're sitting here trying to like get other people to make moral judgment on us when they are doing all of these things.
No, I was going to say, do you think, because we're just talking about your case, right? But do you think that there are other Patrick and Nikki's out there that are just not as vocal as you are? Or are you kind of like their poster child?
We are the only people that this group goes after.
But certainly to an extreme degree.
Oh, yes.
We know people, I mean, there are people in our spheres also that have had the same issues. So, I mean, they've certainly gone after a lot of people and they have kind of a playbook for the method, like all the things that we described. And they know that they are things that they can get away with. And they kind of have like a playbook that's like, here's the things you can do, because they do these similar things to lots of people. Also, they just consistently and dramatically continue to go after us.
Yeah, and the playbook is a really good analogy because like these people learn from each other. You know, like they go and they figure out new things.
It's like going to prison.
Yeah, pretty kind of. You know, they go to kiwi farms and they see and that's a neat idea how we can fuck with them today. Here's what we'll do today.
Oh, that's another thing they did. They delivered how much mulch?
Oh, like 6 cubic yards of mulch.
Because there's like a free service that they like chop up trees and then deliver mulch. So they tried to block our car in with just this crazy amount of mulch that then we had to figure out how to get rid of. And we finally figured out what company even dropped the mulch and whatever. But yes, it's just this constant like,
that's ridiculous.
It's a huge pain in the ass for you.
Like, how do they come up with this stuff?
Because this is all
they do. It's truly all they do. They don't have their own lives.
They don't have lives. They don't have jobs. They don't have families that care about them. This is their entire existence.
That's insane. So I'm sure there's more. I have so many questions in terms of like their side of the story. You keep saying that there's their side of the story. I still don't see it.
No,
but
I'm not saying that I was saying that there is no other side. And that's the thing, is that I just caution you when you go and look into this. First of all, it's terrible for your mental health. So be careful. Yeah. And second of all, they try to make these there's several things that look like documentaries or whatever, and they're just absolutely rife with bullshit. It's
like they made video documentaries.
Oh
yes, that's what I was talking about with the YouTube channels earlier. I mean, there's one YouTuber in particular. We don't know who he is, but he's
a fucking idiot.
He's a fucking idiot, and he just takes whatever these people say as gospel and puts it up.
Like this cleverly edited commercial narrated by an AI Norm Macdonald. The video starts off with Patrick Tomlinson describing a horrific act, and I warn you, this next part is especially sick.
I was giving away free sausage to homeless people, which I had made out of the bodies of African-American children that I had kidnapped and ground up into pepperoni in my basement.
Once upon a time, there was this angry little piglet named Patrick Tomlinson. A stout little fellow boasting fat round cheeks and an upturned pug nose, Patrick spent much of his life writing a series of insufferably dull tales, plagiarized from the likes of Terry Pratchett and Douglas Adams. As a science fiction author, this tubby little menace fancied himself as Lord of the Nerds, a portly hobgoblin sitting atop a mountain of social outcasts. But such a sad spectacle could very well be forgiven if not for the greatest of Patrick's sins. A mistake that would quickly cost this sweaty little hog everything he has ever held dear. Tweeting that yours truly, Norm Macdonald, is not funny. So be sure to catch this incredible tale of Patrick S. Tomlinson as he traverses from subreddits to courtrooms, battling the most mentally depraved corners of what we common folk call the internet.
So yeah, with the whole pepperoni thing, that was May of 2020, so almost 3 years ago now. So what they did is they made a fake Craigslist ad here in the Milwaukee Craigslist, and they used my name, they used our home address, they used my real phone number, and created an ad that said I was giving away free pepperoni that I made out of black children that I had kidnapped from the neighborhood and ground into sausage in my basement. And then they used that as an excuse to call the local police to blame me for kidnapping and murdering children.
So they called the police, used this ad as backup for their, I have a story and this is really happening. And look, he even posted about it on Craigslist.
The Craigslist ad features a picture of a black baby with the following description, and I quote, "Times are tough, and with people succumbing to the Trump virus, I have taken it upon myself to help feed those in need. Every week I go out and find the best and tastiest meats in the city, take them back to my basement, and grind them into delicious, succulent pepperonis. Give me a call or text me. Ask for Pat."
And so then at 11 o'clock on, I think it was a Thursday, Nikki and I had been, we were in lockdown. We'd been in lockdown for weeks.
So we were drinking.
So we were drinking. And so, yeah,
because what else are we doing?
we were binge watching some show on Netflix. We'd had a few drinks at that point when somebody starts bashing on our door. And I go to the door just in my bathrobe to see two uniformed police officers with their hands on their pistols. And the first one demands to know where the children are. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was really
weird.
The Pests over on the online forum waited patiently for the footage of the police responding to the pepperoni call. You see, they filed the public request for the body cam footage of the swatting incident so that they could sit and watch and laugh about it. You could read comment after comment as they waited to see the fruits of their labor.
But they weren't there for very long, and they never came in our house at that point. Not that time. And then, so that was the first. That was the first incident back then, and then there was one other one
in November of 2020.
Okay, so November of 2020, one of the establishments that we frequent had a fire, and it almost destroyed the place, and it was really horrible. And basically, they called the police as a tip to say that he burn the place down. One of our favorite places. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We would burn it and burn it down.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they called not the FBI. They called the Milwaukee PD again and said, we just saw Patrick Tomlinson running away from this fire through the alleys carrying a bag. You should go talk to him. So then we got visited that night by the cops. But then the swattings really started in earnest last July.
So leading up to this, they were ramping up like nuts. I get some influencer on social media who's a social worker, got some racist message from me. He turns his following on me. I get just barraged with phone calls, texts, emails, you racist bitch, like all of this stuff. So I had to explain the stalking situation and that, obviously it wasn't me. They were very understanding of everything, but they suspended my position for like a day. They gave it back to me pretty much immediately once they figured out everything that was going on. So I'm dealing with all of that. My grandfather's funeral was at my mother's house here, and then he lived in a cabin in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. So we were basically doing one at her home, and then we were doing like the actual funeral and burial up there. So they knew all of this, of course, because, obituaries have information where you go visit to the visitation and whatever.
And it's all online.
It's all online. They also, that's another thing they do, by the way, is they leave comments on people's obituaries that are horrible. So they did that to my grandpa, but my father died in 2015. His whole obituary page is like just all this shit from them. And so they have there's like no limit to what they just don't care. Yeah. So I'm up north, and then that's when the first of the more violent swattings. So that was the third one, basically.
Here's security camera footage of one of those swatting incidents.
Hello.
Hello. Officer Oker, Milwaukee Police.
Hi. We're fine.
Yeah, we're aware of the situation. I just got to give you a card with my name on it. If you're home.
We're both home. Just throw it in the mailbox, please.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Some of these swatting incidents are not eventful, like the one I'm playing for you right now.
What was it this time?
I think you shot your wife. They said something about you shot your wife. We're aware of the situation, so.
Did I shoot you, honey?
Oh, I'm fine.
No, she's unshot.
Thank you. Sorry for wasting your time this morning. All right, have a good day.
Bye now.
Bye.
And then it is now escalated, and over the last 10 months, we've been swatted 39 times.
39 times. Last count, Patrick and Nikki told me that number is now in the 40s at the time of this recording.
We've been swatted 18 times this month. It was 18. Right?
Yeah.
We actually haven't been swatted since Tuesday, and it's felt like a vacation.
Oh my gosh. But obviously, you've been swatted so often by the same police department that they should know by now that don't they flag you?
Here's the infuriating thing. When Nikki was up at her grandfather's funeral and I was home alone, it was like 1:00 in the morning when somebody starts banging on the door. I came out of a dead sleep. I put on my sandals and bathrobe to go down and answer the door. And when I saw that it was the police, I was immediately pissed off.
The security footage shows Patrick in his robe being restrained by 4 officers. He just stood there by his door, not resisting or anything, as the officers handcuffed him.
Not even 2 weeks prior, our stalkers, one of them had, like I said earlier, they text us and harass us and threaten us over texts every day. And one of the texts had been a threat to swat us again. And so I, that day, called the Milwaukee Police District 1, which is our district where we live. And I told not only a dispatcher, but one of the sergeants there that is like, hey, I just got another text from these people who are stalking us. They just said they just threatened to swat us again. So if you get any sort of weird calls or a hostage situation or a shooting or anything like that to our address, it's bullshit and they're trying to use you to kill us.
So I actually, at the same time, I had contacted the FBI and told them that we are probably going to get swatted. I explained the number of things that I explained to you, like these people have been fucking with us for years. And I mean, they're serious. This is probably going to happen.
So I had conversations with 2 different people at the District 1 police office. told them that we were going to get swatted. Not even 2 weeks later, at 1 o'clock in the morning, there's half a dozen officers out there.
There's footage of officers surrounding the Tomlinson home, and one officer shining a flashlight through his windows.
They have shotguns, they have assault rifles, they have their pistols drawn, and they're flashing their flashlights in my face as I come down, and I lose it. I'm like, I fucking told you guys this was going to happen, and here you are doing what you were told by criminals. And they didn't get the goddamn memo, and so they rush me on my own porch, handcuff me behind my back. My bathrobe flies open, so now I'm naked and handcuffed on my own porch at 1 o'clock in the morning, surrounded by police, being held in place by two of them. They go through our house. They demand to know where my wife is. I'm like, my wife isn't here. She is not home. She is at a funeral.
Oh, this is during the funeral.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at swatting number 6,
right,
which is nuts.
Yeah. So
I can't believe they didn't get the memo after swatting number.
Is there anybody in the house that shot?
No, this is the 27th time we've been swatted here.
Ma'am,
we have had violent response from the Milwaukee Police Department
half a dozen times. At least.
Yeah, I mean, including just a few weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, where I had assault rifles again. I mean, yeah.
Never come to this house again. You personally never come to this house again. You personally never come to this house again.
We are at the whim of whoever is on the clock, who's ever scheduled.
Fucking months! You're still bringing assault rifles to my house. You're still traumatizing my wife. The next time you fucking idiots roll up with assault rifles. Here, 27 times, 4 times today.
Try to have a better day, sir.
Fuck you.
They don't have any cohesive thing connecting their different shifts in department. There's nothing.
It's insanity.
So, at this point, we've had nearly every freaking District 1 officer come to our house at some point. So, a lot of them just know from experience now. The last one on Tuesday, a sergeant called me. They didn't even come to the house. And and he goes, this is what we're going to try to do. Well, most of us, we're going to try to give you a call and just drive by and not disturb you. And I was like, that would be amazing. That would be great. You should do that.
It only took them 10 months.
39
times to finally get around to this.
Well, it's just such a waste of resources.
Yeah, it's
Does your heart still race every time you get swatted?
I mean, I don't want to say we've gotten used to it, but I mean, this last time when they brought fucking assault rifles out again, yeah, of course your heart's racing. I mean, we've had guns pointed at us now by more times than probably anybody outside of military or law enforcement. I mean, she's had assault rifles and shotguns pointed at her, so have I. And they just weren't fucking getting it. They just were not understanding the situation, and it's happened so many times.
Next time on Pretend. So what's the deal with these guys? What do they want anyway? Is it really because of a Norm Macdonald tweet? I mean, there has to be more to this story. That's next time on Pretend. Okay, that was the first 2 episodes of The Pests. Stick around because later this week I will post part 3 and part 4.